Merry Christmas, everybody.
Whole family couldn't be prouder of you. I was telling Mildred just the other day, I bet he's out of there in less than 4 years.
I dropped out last semester. I'm focusing on my music.
Pass the cranberries.
Is there cheese in these biscuits? You know I can't eat cheese. If I eat dairy, I'll be on the toilet all day. You know, they removed 3 inches of my lower intestines because of a nasty infection.
I read an article on cell phone use in children, and you need to get him on a schedule now before he's texting all day and looking at nasty websites.
He's 6 months old.
I can't believe you use that kind of language.
What's the problem?
It's offensive, it's politically incorrect, and it's borderline obscene.
We're at a Christmas dinner.
That's why you shouldn't have said it.
I just wished her Merry Christmas.
I'll tell you, that is the worst election I have ever seen.
Right. It's like, come on, people. What are you thinking?
I mean, who in their right mind would vote for her?
It's okay.
You sure I can't get you any ham?
No, thanks. I'm a vegetarian.
Oh, mac and cheese.
I'm a vegan vegetarian.
Oh, dinner rolls.
No, I'm a gluten-free vegan vegetarian.
Tic Tac? Hey, everybody. Let's get to the main course.
All right.
Well, welcome everyone to Real Life Church here at the Valencia campus, our online campus, and I get to say it first and foremost to our Canyon Country campus. We're so glad that you're joining and connecting with us, and we have been in this series called Merry Conversations. Because the trees are up, the lights are out, eggnog's in the fridge, we're ready for all of these gatherings and festivities going on. And you know what? We're going to be in a lot of different situations, right? We're going to have choir performances at school, maybe a block party, maybe a work party. We're going to have family dinners, all of these times to be around people during the holidays and maybe have an awkward conversation. Maybe one of those conversations will end up being political and about the last election. Maybe it'll be relational about the crazy uncle that no one gets along with, or maybe it's the brother-in-law that you're just like, I don't know what he's up to. Or for some of us, it could be about our faith. Topics of that could come up about why in the world do you even believe in Jesus? Why do you go to church? Why would you read the Bible? And you don't have a lot of time. They're kind of doing the drive-by questioning, you know what I mean? And they don't really want a dissertation of all of the information you're going to try to answer. But you may just have one line, one sentence that you're able to answer and say, well, this is why. And it really comes from a guy who followed after Jesus. He was there while he taught, while he lived, what he did, and his name was Peter. And he experienced Jesus and wrote down some things. And one of the things comes from 1 Peter 3:15 when he's writing this letter to a church that we should be able to do. And that is, if someone asks about your Christian hope, always be ready to explain it. Be ready just to explain the hope that you have as a Christian, as a follower of Jesus. Now, what it doesn't say is that you have to try to defend every verse that's in the Bible. It doesn't say that you have to try to explain away every story that's in the Bible. It doesn't say you have to try to even defend everything bad that a Christian has done throughout all of history. What it says is that you can explain your hope. And I think if Peter was right here, he would explain it as, man, I saw Jesus live. I was with him, and I saw him die. I saw him go into that tomb. I went to the tomb, and it was empty. And later, I ate lunch with him at the Sea of Galilee. And the truth is, if you put it in one line, it could be the same hope that we have. Is that I believe Jesus died for my sins, and he rose from the dead. I mean, that's the hope. That's the one line. But we may get different questions. We may have different statements at these family dinners, at these work gatherings about our faith. And that's what this series has been all about, in helping us have just kind of one line that we can help, that we can say when those questions arise. And what we're going to look at now is kind of maybe that conversation you have with someone who's like, yeah, you go to church, but I'm not much of a church person. Maybe you've had that at work. You've come, from the weekend. They're like, hey, what did you do? Well, we went to a movie, and then on Sunday, we went over to church, and they're like, oh, you go to church. That's cool. I'm not much of a church person. Or maybe there'll be a Christmas dinner, and you come in, and they're like, oh, where have you been? Oh, we were at Christmas Eve at Real Life Church. And they're like, oh, you do that? Yeah, that's not our thing. But we have those moments, right? We have people in our lives, they're like, yeah, that's great, but I'm not much of a church person. Now, as a pastor, I kind of get an opportunity to have this happen a lot in public when I meet new people. Because inevitably in conversations, we are going to talk about, hey, what do you do? And that can go 1,000 different ways. So one of those times is we had moved into a new place, and we're trying to meet our neighbors. And I have to admit, I have anxiety about meeting new people. So I like to have a list of questions prepared whenever I meet new people to know that the conversation's going somewhere and that they're talking and I'm not. So that's what I try to do. Well, I wasn't overly prepared for this one. I came in the driveway. I hadn't met this neighbor. He's out there. So I'm doing like the coach pep talk. It's like, go do it. Have courage, Brennan. You can do it. So I go out, try not to be a weirdo. I cross the street and I say, hey, what's going on? I'm the new neighbor. And we started a conversation. Well, this guy's cool. It's awesome. It's going well. But then it comes. What do you do? Well, I'm a pastor over at Real Life. And he goes, oh. And it wasn't like hey, let's get some cookies and coffee and talk about this. I would really love to know what that looks like. It was really like man, there's probably an emergency I could fake right now to get out of this situation. And what I did, this is what I usually do. I go, yeah, I kind of feel that way too. And he kind of looked at me and it was like, okay. And we just kept the conversation going. And some of you may be like, that's a little irreverent or something like that. But the truth is that's how I like to answer, because I like to disarm the person. I like to take the tension away. I like to keep the conversation going, because I know that I want to be in a long-term good relationship with my neighbor, so that they can experience Jesus, not get some quota of, I handed you a track right there. I want to be able to help the conversation keep going. So what does that look like for us, though? When we're at the family dinner, when we're at the staff party, when we're at the school recital, and that question comes or that statement comes of, yeah, I'm not much of a church person, what do we do? And how do we help answer, well, you know what? I'm not much of a church person either. Because the average person thinks about a Christian with a big old Bible, a big old megaphone, a big old poster, and hypocrites and hateful. And I don't want to be that. I know you don't want to be that. And we don't want them to think that way, do we? We don't. So how do we keep the conversation going and show them the reality of what church really is? Because I'm not much of a church person, but I love being in church. I love being with the church. And why? Well, because I think there's a reason that we do this, and it's going to be here. I think Jesus makes my life better and makes me better at life. This is why we do this. This is why I'm a part of church, because I know that Jesus makes my life better, because he's erased my past. He has defeated and destroyed my sin. He has helped with my regret. He has resurrected from the dead to help me have life and love and grace. That's why and how he makes my life better and our lives better. But he also makes us better at life, because he helped model and explain how to love your enemy instead of hating them, how to be patient with people instead of just getting angry, of how to look and help the needy, the hurting, the neglected, instead of just bypassing them. See, he makes me better and us better at life. And that's why we do this, That's why we come to church, not because we're church people, but because he, when we experience him, makes us better at life. And it's awesome. We get to experience that, and we want others to experience that as well. And how do we do that? How do we show that? Well, we help by inviting them to experience it at church. We help them to experience who Jesus is, not just try to explain who Jesus is. Because if you or I just try to explain who Jesus is, man, we're going to fall short. We want everyone to experience him. So we come here and we hear about practical teaching, about ways to live more like him. We come because we need to get in community to have people that help us on this journey of finding and following Jesus. We do it because we have an opportunity to serve together here, but also within our community. And that is how he helps us be better at life. And I want everyone to know, and I know you want everyone in your lives to know and experience Jesus. So what do? We invite. Now, I know when you say invite someone to church, some of you go into like a cold sweat. You know what I mean? You're like, I don't really, it's awkward and it's okay. We're going to go through that and we're going to make it easy we're going to look at it and what are some easy things that we can say or we can do to invite people to church. And we're going to do that by looking at a story in the book of John. John's another follower of Jesus. He walked around with Jesus, talked with Jesus, and wrote down those stories, and it got collected, and it's called the book of John. And we're going to see this moment. It's in chapter 4, where Jesus encounters this woman. And it's an amazing moment. It's an amazing moment of seeing kind of how Jesus looks at humanity. It's a great moment of how Jesus extends an invitation. And I know some of us will all look at it in a different way. Some of us, for years, we've been great. We're great at inviting people to experience Jesus right here, and we invite them to church. Hey, keep it up. That's awesome. Some of us were like, man, we don't really know how, or, it gets kind of awkward. What do you do? Hey, we're going to go through this. We're going to look at it, and we'll make it simple. But we also know some of you don't even know what you think about Jesus right now. You're not even sure about the whole God thing, and someone bribed you to be here this evening. First of all, I'm so glad that you're here. And I want you to just sit back and hear this and hear about a God who loves you so much. So we're going to go to John 4, and we're going to look at this moment where Jesus meets this woman. It's going to be here on the screen. Eventually, he came to a Samaritan village of Sychar, near the field that Jacob gave to his son Joseph. Jacob's well was there, and Jesus, tired from a long walk, sat wearily beside the well about noontime. Soon a Samaritan woman came to draw the water, and Jesus said to her, "Please give me a drink." We're going to stop right there. Jesus is tired. He's hot. He wants some water. There's a woman there, and he says, "Man, could you get me a drink?" And it's one of those awkward moments. It's like an awkward encounter. You've had those, okay? It's kind of like maybe you're a grown man all by yourself in Bath and Body Works, and you got the cherry blossom soap in your hand. I know, I see it. I know you. And you walk in, and someone else sees you, and you're like, "Oh, it's for my wife." You know what I mean? It's like that awkward kind of moment that you have. That's what's going on here. And it's happening for that woman. Because she doesn't want to see anyone. She didn't come to the well to see someone. And we know that because of when she came to the well. It's midday. Nobody who wants to see anyone comes to the well at midday. They do that in the morning when it's not hot with everybody else, so they can talk and chat about what's going on. No, she didn't want to see anyone, so she's there. But then Jesus is there. And he does this amazing thing. He just asks a question. He asks for some water from her. And what he is doing is he's not just starting a conversation. he's actually breaking down walls. Because in this moment, a Jewish person would not talk to a Samaritan person, first of all. But also, a Jewish man would never talk to a Samaritan woman at all in public. This would not happen, but he does. He's breaking down the walls because he wants to extend an invitation to her. He wants to invite her to something. And how he's going to do that is he's going to invite her using the metaphor of water. He's going to keep that theme going because he's just asked for a drink of water, but he's going to say, you know what? Do you want some living water? Water that if you have, you will never go thirsty. He goes, yeah, I know the water that you can offer. And when you get hot again, you're going to need another drink. Or you're thirsty again, you're going to need another drink. You can go on and on and on and on, and you will thirst and never be satisfied. But I have water that will satisfy you forever. And we can kind of understand that, right? Because maybe you or you know someone who's living life and they just keep going after the next thing, after the next thing, after the next thing to try to fulfill themselves or satisfy themselves. It's on an endless journey after maybe an addiction, or maybe it's in a job, or maybe it's with this next house or this next car or this, and you can fill in the blank. But once you actually get there, you know it doesn't satisfy at all. And Jesus extends an invitation of saying, I have something that can fulfill your life. And he offers it to this woman. And this is a huge value statement to this woman. And he knows, he shows that value by knowing her past. So he asked this question. It's in verse 16. Go and get your husband. It seems simple, but he's asking to show that he knows her past because she's going to respond and she's going to say, well, actually, I don't have a husband. And he goes, you know what? You're right. That is true. You don't have a husband. You've actually had 5 husbands, and the man you're with right now is not your husband. And he knows her past, but he still extends the invitation. And in that moment, he is placing a value on her that she has probably never experienced in her life. Because at this time, in this day in history, she has lived with men who have rejected her. See, a woman at this time could not get a divorce. A man could only divorce a woman. So 5 times in her life, there has been a man who said, you're not enough. You're just a piece of property. And the 6th doesn't even value enough to marry her. And Jesus, a man she's just met, has placed so much value to say, I know your past and I don't care. I know what maybe people have thought about you. I don't care. I think you're amazing. And because I think you're amazing, I'm going to invite you to a life of fulfillment. I'm going to invite you to a life and experience it with me that will satisfy forever. And Jesus doesn't just do that with that woman at that well. He makes that statement for us. He says that to everyone in all of history. I value you that much. He says, I don't care about your past. I don't care of anything that you could have possibly done on this earth. I love you. And I want to invite you to experience me and fulfillment. Isn't that an amazing statement? And isn't that what church is? To experience that love, that truth, that grace, that life. And he is saying that to you and to I. So what are we going to do? If Jesus values humanity that much, and he would want us as people who follow after him to value humanity that much, he would want us to have the habit of inviting people to experience him. See, we all have habits, right, in life. Some of them good, some of them bad. Maybe it's about eating, maybe it's about exercising, maybe reading or watching TV. Maybe it's about emotional things or reactions of anger and patience. We all have habits. And those habits, they happen because we have cues in our life. These things in our life that trigger those habits. So if you ever want to change a habit, it's not about just saying, I'm going to change this. You have to change the actual cues in your life that create that habit for you. Well, the same goes for inviting people to church. And what we've learned over time is there's certain cues that we can look out for in people when they talk that will help us find an easy and good way to invite them to experience Jesus through church. So we're just going to go through those. We're going to look at what we call the 3 knots so that we can listen for them. These moments in conversations, whether at the dinner table for Christmas or whether it's at work with the staff or at school with other students. There's these 3 knots. The first one is this, is not going well. You ever heard that in a conversation? Man, I just got married, but man, it is not going well. Or we just changed our job and man, this job is not going well. Or our kids, man, they're now in high school and it is not going well. What I want you to do is I want you to hear that. I want you to pay attention to that. I want that to be the first cue for you to then say, man, I've been there before. And you know what's helped me? Is I came to church and I want you to come with me to church this weekend. No matter what the series is, no matter who's teaching, no matter who's singing, I want you to come with me because I think it could help. It would be great. I just want you to listen for that. Listen for that cue that can create that kind of invite. An easy statement to say, hey, you know what? I would love for you to come with me. Well, there's another knot, and the next knot is not prepared for. We've had those moments in our life, right? We weren't prepared for something. Maybe it is a move from a different city. It was like, man, I was not prepared for that traffic in the commute down the 5. Or maybe it was with kids. It was like, man, I was not prepared for having kids. I mean, I can remember that moment. I think most of you with kids, you can remember that moment. Is you bring that first child home, and before that moment, you thought, man, I know everything about kids, because people without kids know everything about kids. So it's like, man, I know everything about kids. And then you bring this child home that screams for, I don't know why, at all times of the day and night, and you're like, man, I was not prepared for that. Because we have those moments, right, that we're not prepared for. And I want you right then to say, you know what? I've been there. And you know something that helps me is where I go to church. I would like for you this weekend just to come with me and go to church. Because it's a place where, you know what? It makes my life better. And it makes me better at life. But there's a third knot. And the third knot is not in church. I'm just not in church. It's like, yeah, man, that's someone else's thing, but that's not really mine. And you hear that. You hear it in the conversation that you've been sitting around at work and you're talking. They're like, yeah, I just don't get it. And I'm not much of a church person. Right there, say, you know what? I'm not much either. But you know what? This weekend, I would like for you to come. Just come check it out. I think you'd enjoy our pastor or our music or, you know what? Our coffee. Just come and check it out, because when you do that invitation, at least they can come. And when they come, just like all of us, we get the moment and the chance to experience Jesus. So that's what we do. We listen and we look for those cues, those moments that can create the easy invite. But here, can I just say one thing? There are some reasons, like, they're just bad. Like, don't invite for certain reasons. I got about 3 of them, okay? One is if it's in a moment and you're wanting to invite just because around here the number can be more, don't do that. It's not about more numbers. No one's sitting around and is like, man, I really wish we could add one more number. That's not what this is about. We are impressed and we care about life change. That's what we invite for. Another reason not to invite is just because you have to. Man, when you invite because you have to, it gets weird quick. It just does. Because you're like, oh man, I think the pastor said I have to. Here's what I got to do. And you go in there and you're like, okay, I got the moment. I'm going to do this. And you're at work and they're like, you know what? I was down at Universal, the City Walk, and I got to pay for parking, and I hate paying for parking. And you're like, okay, I got it. Hey, you know where you don't have to pay for parking? My church. You should come. Or maybe you're at the park and there's flowers out and there's a butterfly flapping around. They're like, that's a beautiful butterfly. And you're like, okay, I got it. Do you know what's kind of like a butterfly? The transformation in your life with Jesus. You should come to church and check that out. Don't do that. It's weird. Okay? It's weird. Don't invite because you have to. That's not what we do. It's not about the number. It's not because we have to. And it's not because you think there's something wrong with the person. That gets weird too. It's like the person in the office is like, hey, do you want a breath mint? 5 minutes later, hey, you want a breath mint? Hey, seriously, hey, you want a breath mint? Okay, I get it. What's wrong with my breath? What's going on? Don't be like that. That is not why we invite. We watch for the cues. We see the moments of people who just say, man, I'm not prepared for. Man, I'm not in church. And you see that and you hear that and you invite because we experienced Jesus. It changed our lives. And he makes our lives better. And he makes us better at life. That's why we invite. That's why we're here. Man, that is what church is about. Well, I want to continue in the story because in John 4, that encounter, it's amazing what happens with the woman at the well. We see what continues and what she does. It'll be here on the screen. Many Samaritans from the village believed in Jesus because the woman had said, he told me everything I ever did. When they came out to see him, they begged him to stay in their village. So he stayed for 2 days, long enough for many more to hear his message and believe. Then they said to the woman, now we believe not just because of what you told us, but because we have heard him ourselves. Now we know that he is indeed the Savior of the world. Do you see what happened there? That the value Jesus had on this woman, she could do nothing else but run back to town and say, guess what? You need to experience Jesus. And extended the invitation that Jesus extended to her. And what happens? The town experiences him. And they don't just now believe because of what she said. They believe because they experienced him. This is the power of valuing people the way Jesus values them. This is the power of extending an invitation for them and everyone we know to experience him here at church. Because we all have someone in our lives that needs to hear about who he is. And I want you to check out this real life story from a young lady named Chelsea and how she got to meet Jesus. Check this out.
Hi, my name is Chelsea, and this is my real life story. I've been going to Real Life since about February of this year. I was always curious about God, but I never really knew how to go about exploring that in my life. My mom had kind of a weird experience with church, so she didn't really want us going. I think when I was growing up, God was always kind of in the back of my mind, but I never really explored that deeper until I got into college. There was a club on campus called Common Ground, and it was really a place where people could go to just explore the idea of God in their lives. And it was just a worship experience, kind of. And I loved that part of it. It was really just brought me a lot of peace, but I didn't know why it brought me peace. So about 2 years after I graduated college, I was really just searching for a community to call home. And I just one day literally Googled churches in Santa Clarita, and specifically with the young adult ministry. Real Life popped up with the Bridge. The first day that I went to the Bridge was a little bit scary. It's a little bit intimidating walking into a room of 20-somethings that are all friends already and believe something that I'm not even sure about yet. When I finally, walked in, one of the girls, the first girl I met, walked right up to me and grabbed my hand and basically introduced me as her friend to everyone she knew. That was kind of the marker of I need to be here. So after I'd been going for a couple weeks to the Bridge, I started serving at the Bridge, which really I think made all the difference. I got to meet a ton of people and just really feel connected and plugged into the Bridge. I joined a life group and went through Rooted and just really tried to find any way that I could get involved. Joining a life group was really great for me because it really gave me structure. During Rooted, I was able to really digest everything. Going through that program ultimately led to my decision to get baptized. I think with Real Life and everybody that I've met here, the community is just more than I could have ever imagined. Getting to help people find what I found is just the best feeling. It just changed my life in so many great ways. I have a support system with my new friends, and I have just such a positive outlook on everything now. I didn't think I was missing so much until I found it.
About that we help people find and follow Jesus, that we've experienced life change because someone invited us to experience Jesus. Just like the woman at the well, that honestly, we are benefactors because she cared enough to invite. And the church has been doing that for hundreds and hundreds of years, of inviting people to say, I want you to experience Jesus. And we get to be a part of that because we all have names in our heads of people that need to experience Jesus, experience that life change, and know that Jesus makes their life better and makes them better at life. So we're going to do that, especially during this season. And honestly, Real Life around here, we have made it real easy right now for you to have something to invite someone to. And the first thing is Christmas Eve. I mean, we are days away, people. You know what I mean? Christmas Eve is coming. And we have plenty of opportunities starting on Wednesday for you to watch for cues, to listen, and to invite someone to experience Jesus at one of these services. Maybe they have kids and you can just tell them, hey, you know what? We got great family photo ops. We'll have one with, Santa in a sleigh. We're going to have some Christmas trees. We're going to have these different things. We're going to have a train that you can ride around. I mean, whatever it takes to have them come and check this out and then hear about a God that loves. Man, that's what this is about. And we've made it real easy. Man, maybe you're not going to be able to be face-to-face with them, or you have other people that you just want an easy way to invite them is you download the RLC app right now. It's okay. We have free Wi-Fi. Just go ahead and do that. And then you go to the top of that app and it says invite a friend. You click on that and it has all of the service times. Click on the service time that they can attend or you're going to go to and invite them to, and it will text them the invitation. It's that easy. Just in being able to see, man, that is someone right now I would love to invite to Christmas Eve. Go ahead and do that. Or maybe on Christmas Day, you're going to be with friends, you're going to be with family. We are going to have an online-only service, not service in person, but we're going to have a special online service that maybe you've just had breakfast or maybe you're getting ready to have lunch and you can say, you know what? We're going to do this together. We would love for you to do online service at Real Life Church with us on Christmas Day. So check it out. It's an easy invite. And the other thing that's coming up is January 8th, we are launching our brand new campus in Canyon Country at Edwards Theater. We're going to have an 8:30 and a 10, and you can clap. It is all good. We are excited. Maybe you know someone who's a coworker, family, and they live in Canyon Country and they need to experience Jesus. And you may think, man, why would you do church in a movie theater? Why would you wake up and set up and then tear down and deal with all of that? Because we value everyone. Everyone in this valley, everyone in this world, that they need to experience Jesus. And we will go to great lengths and no end so that people can find Jesus. So we're going to do this in Canyon Country, and in the future we will go beyond because we know people need to experience him. Because when we experience Jesus, he makes our lives better, and he makes us better at life, and that is what church is. So what I want you to do over the next couple days is listen for the cues. Think about the people in your life that need to experience Jesus, and you can invite, maybe by the text or maybe in person. And have them stop by, say hi to a pastor, say hi to me at the Christmas services, because I can't wait to see you and the person that you're going to be inviting. But right now, I'd like to pray for you, and I'd like to pray for the names of the people that you're thinking about right now. Let's pray together. Father, we thank you that you do value us so much, that no matter our past, no matter the things that we have done, you say, I love you, and that you want a relationship with us. We thank you so much. And I just thank you for all of the things that are coming up that we get to experience through Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, the launch of the new campus, that people will be able to experience you, to look more like you, live more like you. Help us be a church that values people enough that will invite them to experience you. So thank you for who you are and what you do. In Jesus' amazing name, amen. Everyone, thanks for being here, and have a great week.